All right. So it is 9:30. So we are officially beginning the "You've Met with a Terrible Fate" an analysis of Majora's Mask and the 5 stages of grief. So
if you're in the wrong panel, too bad. You're stuck here for life.
So we already pretty much got past how's everyone's first night going at MAGFest? Wonderful. Love to see it. Is this anyone else's first MAGFest? Love that too. All right.
And we actually didn't get a raise of hands. How many people is this their first con? Oh
okay.
My God, welcome!
Welcome to the circuit. You are here forever.
You literally chose a really good first con.
Yeah. So I want to start, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the panel, I want to say this is actually, has been a work in progress. During my twilight years,
We're old.
We're old. I did an internship for one of my minors at college, and part of that was doing this series called Well Played, where you picked 3 games for a semester, and you would take a free period, and you would play a game, and you would analyze them more from a media literacy angle more than just talk about, that's Link, he hits things with a sword. You would get into the stories and the narratives. So the 3 games I chose were obviously Majora's Mask, Undertale, and Digital A Love Story. Needless to say, Majora's Mask was the most popular. As you can see, I have a prop. When I did the presentation, I wore a Majora's Mask dress. If it wasn't 5 degrees out, I would be wearing it right now, but it's 5 degrees out. So to bring this to MAGFest also as my first panel that I've ever hosted myself.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please give big cheers for Nebs. This is not my first time paneling.
But it's my first time.
But it is their first time as a main panelist. You were on the Fire Emblem one once.
Yeah, but
this is all their baby. I came on at the end to do my own hyperfixation.
So yeah, obviously, we're here. We know Majora's Mask. We know that's the game. We're why does the moon look like that? Why is it staring at me?
That moon gave me nightmares as a child. I'm so glad that other people had the existential dread playing this as a child.
I think we can go to the first slide.
Oh, yes. Oh, you said your name was Nebbles, right?
Yeah.
I'm Paradox Mint.
And I'm Nebs. Nebbles, whatever nickname you deign to give me. All right, so grief in my Majora's Mask is more likely than you think. It's, a lot of people love to go, this game is dark, but it's literally the bleakest Zelda game, and Twilight Princess doesn't count because of its saturation. I love Twilight Princess. I say that with a lot of love in my heart. So
this was the OG dark game.
Yes. So the 5 stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And how they relate to Majora's Mask is to the game as a whole, and then its characters and the individual stories in each region of Termina. It's very palpable, and wherever you go, it's kind of hard to ignore the somber mood you go throughout Termina. It's called Termina. That should give it away. You're not in a good place. And this game is unique in the form of how much its side quests really support the story. Because the side quests are not hey, my chickens got lost. Can you get them? Or whatever. Or, you go, I'm trying to think of another Zelda side quest, or...
Burning flowers.
Burning flowers. Kind of hide and seek. You are helping these people basically fulfill their last wishes. It's a grim way to look about it, but the Bomber's Notebook, when you get it, it says it's you are recording people's happiness. It doesn't directly say, this is your side quest log. It's a way to help people. And Anju and Kafei, we'll get to them later, definitely symbolize it the most. That's what I focused my presentation on when I first did this in college. And each transformation mask is related to each stage and etc. And the Song of Healing is just acceptance overall, because at the end of grief, you are able to heal. Next slide.
And so this is the creating this dark masterpiece, the behind the scenes. It was so funny when Nebs first started this panel, and they had most of these slides already, And then she was like, oh, I know you also really like Majora's Mask. Do you want to join this? And I was like, yes, especially because we have two different hyperfixations when it comes to this game. Nebs very much focuses on the actual game. I focus on the behind the scenes and how this game should have never been made. Because of the, like, for those of you that know, like, this game had no reason to be made, and it did, and thank God for it.
Oh, yes. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, no, this is literally my favorite Zelda game. Like, but it's because, yay! But it's because of how much goes into it. I'm one of those people that, like, I love indie developers. Obviously, this isn't indie, but, like, I love to know the stories behind how a game got made. I'm a big Kickstarter fan. So, behind the scenes, obviously, we have our wonderful
Aonoma.
Thank you. Despite boku wa nihongo shihaneshemasu, I cannot actually speak it well, though. My pronunciation is terrible, but this is our lovely papa, as I personally call him. So this is right off the heels of Ocarina. Even if you know nothing about Zelda, you probably heard of Ocarina of Time. It is probably the most well-loved, well-known Zeldas, if you don't count the newer ones. Like, if the original, like, Renaissance, like, that was it. And it was for good reason, but it's like, okay, you're coming off the heels of that. What are you gonna do with that? And, well, this is what happened. So after the mega success, the designer was told to remix the Ocarina Dungeons for a spin-off. And there are different accounts. Some people say that he straight out the gate was like, I don't really want to do that, and he just started doing something else. And other accounts say that he did try, but ultimately it was just not fulfilling for him to do that, so he started making new dungeons. Either way, the end result was that he went up to his boss, Shigeru Miyamoto. So sorry. And was like, hey, is it okay if I do this? And he was like, yeah, you have 1 year.
So from the beginning, the time crunch was real.
And for those of you that aren't aware, in comparison, Ocarina of Time took 3 years to complete. And they were like, yeah, you can make a new game, but you only get a year to do it. And so it's like, okay, yeah. So the time crunch led to stress, and stress led to nightmares, and we can see a lot of those nightmares and the stress and the time crunch in different aspects of the game because of that. There's literally an account of the main developer saying that he had a dream of a Deku Scrub chasing after him. And there is then a scene of that same thing happening in the game where a Deku Scrub is chasing you. Again, accounts vary. Some people say that was already in and that influences nightmares and not the nightmares influencing that, but it still remains the same that, like, regardless of what happened, it's like he still had that nightmare, regardless of which one influenced what. And with the ticking clock that you have in the development, you see that in the game. You have 3 days until the moon is going to destroy everything.
Woo.
You have a year to finish this game. Otherwise, who knows what's gonna happen? Who knows? Will you still have a job? Who knows? And you're working for Nintendo, so you probably want to keep that job. Get that good tenure. And then additionally, I'm sorry, I am also looking at my notes. I could spew this off the top of my head, but you would get a very rambling edition of that. In another example is in 1998, before the developers started, several of the Nintendo staff were at a wedding in Japan, obviously, because that's where this is held. But at the time, North Korea had launched missiles overhead. Like, nothing happened, but it was very scary. Like, obviously, you guys might know current political events. Not exactly a good thing having missiles launched over your head. And because of the tense situation that was going on, it's similar to how, oh, here's something coming to crash land on you, and you have no control over that. So there are some speculation that also added to the dark nature of this, because it was just a dark time in a lot of people's lives that were working on this project. I am so sorry.
Okay.
The wedding in game. Oh yeah, and the wedding in game being the impending doom is very much tied to that. She loves talking about the wedding. Devs would be working to the point of sleeping in the office and not seeing their family. Several NPCs talk about not having time or being too busy to see their family, such as the Garon elder and his child, the mayor and his wife, the shopkeeper and his wife. Like, so many NPCs are like, I don't have time for this. And so that's just an interesting aspect. And it's actually funny that we did have the Happy Mask Salesman show up, because there is a lot of speculation that the Happy Salesman is literally the boss, Miyamoto-san, because he's always bringing up the time deadline, always bringing up how you're being such a good worker, how, where's Majora's Mask? Do you have Majora's Mask yet? Where's Majora's Mask? Like, what's going on here? And there has been some speculation that the Happy Mask Salesman kind of looks like Miyamoto-san. So if you think that, that's fine. I do think that it's a funny little potential Easter egg, whether it was meant to or not. I also like to think that Miyamoto-san was like in on it and was like, yeah, it's good content.
That's funny.
Leave it in the game, it's content.
Next slide.
Next slide.
Okay. So the 5 stages in literal stages. This Majora's Mask Link is coming off the heels of Ocarina of Time. It's a direct sequel, and this Link has already been through it. He's a child.
Trauma.
Yeah, he is a sad child. And Majora's Mask starts with Link looking for a lost friend. This is Navi, who at the end of Ocarina of Time looks at Link. She's like, my job here is done, and leaves. And Link's like, okay. So this Link has already gone off, not having many friends as a child. He was ostracized from the Kokiri. Then he learns he wasn't a Kokiri. And then he's, hopping back and forth between timelines, and people don't exactly know or remember him. The only people who do remember him are locked in the Sage's realm because they have to give up their life. Bye, Saria, Link's only best friend. So Link's already not in a good place. So he's already having this perpetual just exhaustion wash over him. And then he meets Skull Kid, who makes everything worse.
I love Skull Kid. That's my son.
He has every disease.
He's a scrunkly little man, and I love him.
Yeah. So each area in the game definitely has multiple stages of the cycle, but you can also kind of argue each land really represents it overall. And then at the very end of the game, Ikana, then you go to the moon, is acceptance, because that's the final stage, and you're going to the final place of the game to finally get the last giant and go save the moon from falling.
And unlike in most games for this time period, the NPCs do have character growth, and it is directly tied to you helping them with their stories and then coming to grips with the fact that they're going to die. Which is really dark, especially for a quote-unquote children's game. Remember, guys, this is Nintendo.
Our family-friendly Nintendo.
And we also mentioned it before that, literally the name Termina is it's one letter off from terminal. And if you guys don't know where the 5 stages of grief comes from, it's literally from a study done on terminally ill patients and their loved ones and how they process grief. I'm not saying that the devs did it on purpose, but I'm saying that's suspicious.
Definitely some thinking going on there. All right. So what makes Majora's Mask unique off the bat is all the people of Termina have different reactions to what's about to come. Obviously in JRPGs and RPGs in general, the NPCs say something, but it's usually a very static piece of dialogue. It doesn't change. And even though if it doesn't change on the first day, it might change on the second day, it might change on the third day, or it will change depending if you do their side quests or not. So some of them will either still live in the denial, despite the fact that the moon's right there. Or some of them will be well, we're going to die, but I fulfilled what I needed to in this life, so
Sorry, that's my phone telling me I need to go to sleep.
So it's okay, even if it's not okay, but sometimes you're left to accept what you don't want to. I didn't dedicate a separate slide to this, but a special mention I wanted to make for people of Termina is our beloved Romani and Cremia of the ranch. So Cremia has two, Romani's endings in this game, if you don't save the world, are bad. Either on the third day before the moon falls, her sister gives her Chateau Romani, which in the Japanese version is explicitly said to be alcoholic. So she's basically numbing her sister before the moon falls, And Rami's like, oh my God, I get to sleep in Cremia's bed. I haven't gotten to do this in so long. I'm going to hang out with my sister. But she's a little off kilter. The other option is that she gets lobotomized by aliens.
In my Nintendo game.
Yeah, like if you don't do the alien side quest or you fail it, she's there, but she is like has like 1,000-yard stare going on. She's not doing great at all. And you're like, where did the aliens come from? What? Yeah, I remember that was one of my first like big introductions to Majora's Mask, and I was like, why? I'm like, do we need to get like Mulder and Scully in here? Like, what's going on? Like this is like an X-Files episode. Yeah, it's a very, very bleak acceptance, but it's still acceptance overall. Cremia's like the big sister of the year because she's also going through her own pain, but she's able to at least push some of that aside for her sister. So that's her accepting the fate in another way.
It's a horrible, no good time, and no one's happy.
So now we're getting into the actual regions themselves. So I think everyone kind of knows this, but the Deku mask that you get at the beginning of the game is implied to be the son of the Deku butler who serves the king. Good start, fun stuff.
Nothing like wearing someone else's skin Ed Gein style.
Woo! and the only way you get the mask off your face is to play the Song of Healing, so you were helping that soul move to the afterlife. So every time you do that, that wayward lost soul accepts that I've had my purpose in life, didn't end too great, could have done a few things better, but there's nothing I can do now. And I wanted to highlight the anger and bargaining because the anger is seen in the king, who the game likes to call punishing, but we all know he's about to execute that monkey. That monkey is dead on arrival, like the Fall Out Boy song.
We love the euphemisms.
And the monkey is basically begging you for helping. Like, I'm going to teach you this song. Go to the temple. I know that's where the princess is. And again, even without the presence of like a running clock on the bottom of the screen, everything still feels hurried. Like these people are in actual danger, even if it's on the first day.
Yeah, and regardless if you do anything or not, the time is still ticking.
Yeah.
The moon will crash regardless. You can leave that game open and do nothing. It will kill you.
It reminds me of that one person who was doing like a 24-hour stream, and they were streaming Majora's Mask and fell asleep, and people in chat were like, bro, the moon! The moon's falling!
I saw the moon crash ending because way throwback, remember like Walmart used to have the TVs?
Yeah!
Yes!
No one had been playing it.
Oh!
Got to watch the moon fall.
Oh my god.
In a Walmart!
At a Walmart! God, I love that. Iconic. Next slide.
All right.
Did you want to mention the credits?
Oh, yeah. And in addition, we don't see the Deku Butler like coming to terms with his own grief until the credits scene where, you're getting your nice pen over the world you saved. Everybody's happy. Everyone's doing great. And then you see the Deku Butler looking at this effigy, hollowed out effigy of his dead son. And you're like, all right, that's cool.
I mean, at least he got catharsis, but yeah, it was like he didn't know where his son went that whole time. And it's like, you kind of look like my son. I wonder why.
But that closure is also a very important part in acceptance. You can't accept things without closure.
Yeah.
No matter what the result is.
It sucks, but at least he knows.
Yeah. Knowing is better than not knowing.
Yeah.
And then we head to the snowy region of Snowhead. That was great.
My little roly boys. I love my roly-poly boys.
I do love the Gorons. So there's a perpetual winter going throughout this place, and winter's not coming. No one knows what to do. The elder's off somewhere, and his son. When you will hear that baby cry when you go into Snowhead, you will hear that child.
It will haunt your dreams.
And all the Gorons are like, we don't know what to do. We don't know where his father is. The baby's crying. Darmani's gone. Everything is a mess. And Darmani, died trying to save his people from this endless winter. And his like gravesite has like a hot spring, so he's hogging all like the good stuff. I don't know why he's not sharing. But, obviously Link talks to his spirit. He plays the Song of Healing at his grave, and Darmani's like, well, I'm dead. Can't do much about that. But then, basically he infuses his will into the mask and gives that mask to Link, and then Link can carry out his will. Link does kind of gaslight people into thinking Darmani's alive, because people will look at him and be like, oh my god, Darmani, I thought you were dead. Link's
Never mind the fact that he's 2 inches tall.
So yeah, Link's, you wear so many masks, you forget who you are, but that's Link's job as a hero. He's got to do what he's got to do.
And he's already saved the world in Ocarina of Time. What's saving it a few more times, even if it means that he's pretending to be other heroes? It's not like he ever does a thankless job.
And now we come to the Great Bay region, which is one of the things that
I love this one so much.
Sticks out to me the most. Because first, you go to the beach. We usually associate beach with, a little fruity drink, a little umbrella, a good time. Link pushes a dying fishman onto the shore. Mikau gives a whole spiel about, how he's angry at himself because he lost his and Lulu's babies. They got kidnapped by pirates. Lulu's depressed and lost her voice. And, they canceled the world tour, basically.
The music in this section.
I love Zora music.
Peak.
So, basically, Link... Mikau gives Link a dying wish with a sick guitar solo the entire time. Very important to mention. And Link plays the Song of Healing. Mikau's will is infused into the mask. Link makes him a grave. Normal 13-year-old boy activities.
Just casually making a grave.
But eventually, you do get the eggs from the pirate fortress with the stone mask, and their eyes don't work, obviously, if you have a mask on your face, and you bring him back, and you're able to do something, because even if Link himself isn't affected by what he's doing, he's making other people happy, which is the job of a hero, and in this case, it's making people happy before the world ends, which. You gotta give them something. You gotta give people something to look forward to, even if it's only the tiniest window possible.
Lulu got her babies back for a day. But low-key, I would also gladly be Lulu's lover again for a day. I'm just saying. That's just me personally. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just saying. Before we got, what was before Tears of the Kingdom? I'm blanking so hard. Before we got Breath of the Wild and I got my big fish husband, I had my fish wife. I'm just saying. Thank you. Justice for Lulu. Give that woman a harem.
We celebrate all kinds of love here.
I love fish love.
I mean, the movie The Shape of Water existed for a reason.
I haven't seen it, but I guess I need to.
I'm surprised you haven't.
I know, I really love fish. No fish were harmed by the making of this pen.
Yeah. So Iconic Canyon is, haunted, and again, no good time going on here. You spend the first leg of your time here releasing a man from being zombified so he can be with his daughter again. Which, very quick, happy result. You get to give the mask, but then as you traverse farther into the canyon, you see that there are a lot of angry, restless spirits. Redeads who can't move on. The Iconic Kings, bicker like an old married couple. It's great. And a lot of it is them basically unable to move on until you can basically help them in some way that they didn't know they needed. And one of the things I always think about is that the elegy of emptiness when you go to Stone Tower Temple. We all know the freaky little statue we get.
Yeah.
One that inspired that very famous creepypasta that I'm sure I don't have to mention by name. But you look back at them and they're like these empty faces, and I feel like that's Link leaving parts of him behind because he has to. Because when you are so far in a situation like this, you kind of can't let your own grief or your own emotions overtake you when there's a higher calling at hand. So by playing the elegy of emptiness for human Link, Deku Link, Zora Link, Goron Link, etc., he's leaving parts of him behind and these other people behind who ultimately sacrifice themselves willingly or not to help Termina not get mooned, basically.
Yeah, because in this case, it's like Link had to be the hero that was there because all the heroes that should have been there to help out were dead. Link was the only one that could, and he had to embrace the spirit of these dead heroes to help out a land that he wasn't even supposed to actually be in. It just, they needed a hero, and I need a hero. I'm sorry, sometimes the word association gets me.
I think one of the most poignant things about Termina, is that I read a theory once that Termina itself isn't real. It's like a projection of the mask. So that's why you can say that, like, oh, that's why Link didn't go to the carnival of time or whatever after he slew Majora and the moon went back to where it belongs. That if it's not a real world, then what was it? Because you could also say it's a manifestation of Skull Kid's grief because the mask took over him. Listen, I love Skull Kid. He did nothing wrong. This was not his fault.
He did nothing wrong. He's my little meow meow.
He was just a little sad, and he's a child, and children are extremely susceptible to really strong emotions, especially if those emotions come in the form of a demonic mask that latches onto your face and controls your brain like a parasite.
Someone possessed by Satan.
Satan, Majora, potato. All right, this is her
bread and butter.
This is what started it all. So, like I said, I did a presentation on this for my college internship 10 years ago.
God, I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, and instead of going on the game overall, I focused on Anju and Kafei because I just associate them the most when Majora's Mask comes to mind, because so much to think about. So you basically encounter both of them on the first day, and both of them are already in not great places because Kafei goes missing because Skull could curse him curse him with baby. He looks like a child, and he lost the ceremonial masks for him and Anju. So he's ashamed of himself. He's angry, but he knows he can't do it on his own, which is why when he meets Link, he's like, I need you to help me. I need you to track down this thief that took the masks, because at least if I have the mask and can beat her again, we have something for us before the moon comes. And Anju feels completely helpless in her situation. She's stuck at the stock pot inn. She really doesn't want to be there. She's pretty cognizant of what's happening with the moon in the world, but she feels so helpless because she doesn't know what to do. She can't go and abandon her post, basically, and she wouldn't even know where to look. So that's why she's also using Link as like a bargaining chip. She's like, if you can help me deliver this letter and come find him, I would really appreciate it. And of course, as Link does, he accepts it. And then you basically are going back and not back and forth, but between two of them. But over the 3 days, you are basically, furthering them, trying to get them to meet. So you go to the hideout. You get the mask back. If you can also fail to get the mask back, but I'll circle back to that point. And then once you can you reunite them at 6 hours before the moon falls, and they meet in the final hour of the day. The music is the haunting, somber, deep tones. The sky is red and dim. There's earthquakes going on. It is very evident that we are this close to the end, and they're able to reunite in the very last moment and exchange their masks. And though it's not technically their wedding ceremony, it's the closest thing they're going to get to it, and they are in full realization of that. So even if they know they're about to die, they tell Link they're going to greet the morning together, which that line stuck with me the first time I saw it, because
Get yourself a romance like this.
I mean, they're the most like iconic quest in the game for like a reason, and not just it's one of like the rare quests that spans the entire 3-day cycle that you get. Is that these two people who have had like everything turned upside down, everything lost, that they were able to get that brief glimpse of joy at the very last moment, but that's all they needed. Furthermore, what also can really hurt about this quest is that you can mess up both sides. That if you don't give Anju Kafei's letter and she doesn't know where to meet him, in the final hours, Kafei will come to the inn room and look at her wedding dress and be like, "Oh, she was going to be such a beautiful bride," and I'm like, "Cool, love that. That hurts just a bit."
That totally doesn't hurt me.
Yeah, no. And if you fail on Kafei's end to get the mask, he'll like refuse to give up. He'll still try and get that mask back, but 9 times out of 10 he's gonna die in the hideout. And Anju is just pretty much, she's like, well, this isn't really what I wanted, but there's nothing I can do. Because also, her mother like tries to convince her to like leave. She's like, I don't want you away for Kafei anymore. The moon's coming closer. You need to flee to the ranch. You need to do this or that. And she obviously doesn't want to go without him. Why would you want to escape, without knowing that your partner was safe? That's one of the worst nightmares anyone could ever imagine.
Yep.
They're so good.
They are. No, I agree. I literally just love listening Nevs talk about this side quest. Because it's just so heartbreaking. I also do love that, like, that end where it's like, no matter what, we'll be together. Because it's like, yeah, you're going to die. They both know it. They're not in the denial stage. They are fully in the acceptance. And it's so bittersweetly beautiful.
No, yeah, it's beautiful.
Like, I honestly think that, like, aside from, like, the actual ending, like, this is, to me, like, even with, like, all, like, the main story quests, like, forget all that. This side quest is the GOAT.
Yeah, like I said, the other side quest I think about the most is saving Romani Ranch from aliens and from a 10-year-old girl from getting lobotomized.
Yes, but this has a different feeling.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
I just love.
Yeah, these two are the guys that led me on this path to, like, really deeply analyzing this game. And I'm like, I'm onto something. I'm using my media literacy skills and my critical thinking. My English teachers would be so proud of me. So if you're out there, yeah. And then after everything, it all culminates into going to the moon itself. And it's not like the SpongeBob episode where it's really exciting and he sings a whole little ditty about it. We're going to, like, the moon. And we're kind of, like, sucked into the moon's gravity. And Tattle's like, I really don't want to go in there, but you don't have a choice. And
When does Link ever have a choice?
never.
The facts.
That's He has a sword and that's it.
Yeah.
So if you collect all the masks, you can talk to the masked children, which look a lot like the Happy Mask salesman.
And aren't creepy at all.
No, the moon children aren't weird, not at all. There's still some symbolism there. I'm still trying to analyze and fully understand why they look like a younger version of the masked salesman and why they're like, and why like their dialect is the way it is, because it's very like, they ask you like existential questions at the end of like their thing, and Link's like, I'm 13, I don't know anything. I
am just a dude with a sword.
Like, listen, if some like kid asked me like the meaning of life, I was like, I don't know, dude, I'm 31, I don't know anything.
I don't even know what I have for breakfast.
Like, I don't even know what's for dinner next week. Like, let's go day by day here. But in a way of Link doing, again, these more selfless tasks of giving all these masks to these weird children, he's able to, like, relieve the burden of what these masks were to him. Because even if he got them by doing good deeds, it's still like a memory of like, Link remembers everything. The people of Termina don't, which is an extremely important facet of the game. You can take it. I need to take a sip of water.
You're good. Yeah, it's also something to point out that with each cycle, like if you're doing the third cycle and you're on the Zora, you can't save, or like you can't like do the Deku quest and you can't do the Goron quest. Like that stuff happened. Like the monkey died. You don't help the Goron. Like you have to accept, and Link has to accept that you can't save everyone, and he has to deal with that every single time it resets, and he's the only one that remembers.
Like,
and that doesn't screw up a child at all. No. I'm sure it wouldn't screw up an adult, and he's only 13.
13.
Yeah, baby.
Like
I
that.
think about that way too much. The fact that it's like he has to.
That was just spicy memory.
Yeah, exactly. But no, that is literally an aspect of this game that I think about all the time. That like it's really hammering home that like you will fail. You will never save everybody. Even at the very end, you do not save everybody. The Deku son is still dead.
And even technically, are like Darmani and Mikau also still dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still dead. You cannot save everybody. Lulu still does not have her lover. The Garons do not have their hero. The Deku butler still doesn't have his son. It's like, you get a happy ending.
But I think that's also a part of acceptance in the stage of grief.
Oh yeah,
where,
that's why it's such a beautiful game.
Exactly.
Such
That's
a
why
beautiful
it's
game.
so good, because I think an important point in understanding the 5 stages of grief and the idea of earning your happy ending is to understand that not every happy ending has to be perfect, that not every story can be wrapped up with a pretty little bow. There are hardships and forks in the path along the way. And the sooner you can accept that and come to terms with that, you can go across your journey much faster. And of course, as a player, we're like, oh my God, well, I have to do all these things, or the big scary moon's going to come and fall on me. And we can only project so much of that onto Link as a silent protagonist. We do not know his thoughts. We only see him scream in horror when he puts the transformation masks on for the first time. So we have like an ounce of what he's feeling, and it's not good.
Yeah. He's probably not having a good time.
But it's important to have that idea in your mind as you're playing, as you're helping these people going back to the dawn of the first day, of like, even if the other people of Termina don't remember what happened, you and Link do. And that's another part of like acceptance, that even if like no one else recognizes your good deed but yourself, it doesn't erase the fact that you did a good deed, or the good deed happened. It is better to be like, the good deed happened and I don't want for it. Like, you don't do good deeds for rewards, you do good deeds because they're good things to do.
And that's just Link in a nutshell.
Yeah, like Link, like as a silent protagonist, Link is one of the best, because you know, there's so many Zelda games with different stories and the timeline, which I'm not getting into.
That's another panel for another time.
And
Another time.
you know, all these iterations of Link where he goes through different permutations of the hero story. You know, sometimes they're more lighthearted, like in Wind Waker, where, you know, everything is lovely. Wind Waker's a happy game. Link rescues his sister. You go to boat, it's great.
Wind Waker is also happy because it's a direct sequel to Wind Waker. Yes.
Yeah. And then, you know, there's Skyward Sword, which is pretty generally a cheerier, happy game. It's brightly colored, I don't know.
Okay, what I'm gathering that we all agree is that Link's story is always kind of tragic. But this is the most tragic.
Yeah. I mean, you can argue like the very first Link to exist wasn't tragic, but that's because he didn't know what God had in store for him yet.
When you don't know yet about all the timelines.
But circling back to my point is that as a silent protagonist, you can assume that Link, you know, dutifully accepts his role, and that you can also argue that these 5 stages are prevalent in every Zelda game in some sort of way. Maybe not the first 2 because it's very, very basic, bare bones. Go collect the Triforce and stab that evil guy. And Link's like, I don't do that. But as the games go on and they get more, they get a deeper story, the narratives get more complex, and they start weaving together. You see that Link is, for the most part, a tragic figure that, again, this isn't anything he asked for. He literally is just a guy.
Always, he's just a dude.
And fate thrusts something in his hands, whether, in Skyward Sword, where it's like, oh, your girlfriend fell from the sky. Or Twilight Princess, where it's like, your childhood friends did something really stupid and now you have to go save them. Or Wind Waker, where it's like, we're gonna be on a boat, it's gonna be fun. And then we're gonna learn barrier skip and go beat the game in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Totally random aside, not related, but barrier skip changed my life when it finally happened. That was like the biggest day for me. Like no one knew what I was talking about, but I was like, guys, they found barrier skip. It's so exciting. But since Link doesn't talk, and the most like personality you get is like,
Hey.
not that. I was going to say.
I know.
In Breath of the Wild, where they give him like funny, quirky little dialogue branches, and you can glean some insight into like the hero they want Link to be. And what's also a very interesting mention in Breath of the Wild is that if you read Zelda's journals about him, she's like, Link is selectively mute because he can't take the weight of his burdens. And I'm like, oh. So that's the route we're going.
That, and I think that you haven't played the newest one, but
I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet.
No, not Tears of the Kingdom. The one that's focused on Zelda.
The bed game.
All
bed
y'all said
percent.
it at the same time, but I just know. Once again, I watched someone else play it. But yeah, in that one too, bless you. Another character says that, oh yeah, Link doesn't talk because he has trauma-based mutism. So like, it's basically been added in like retroactively. Like we don't know for the earlier games, but between Breath of the Wild and this newest one, like it's implied that the reason why Link doesn't speak in all the other games is because he has trauma.
Yeah. Like, Toon Link has the most personality aside from him supposed to be like more cartoony and animated, is because Toon Link has a pretty good time. Like I said, he goes on a boat, he goes on a train, he gets he
The 2 genders, boat and train.
During the story, not before. His trauma happens during the story, not before.
Exactly.
Yeah, depending on the game.
I still think he gets through most of Wind Waker trauma free because like his grandma doesn't die, little sister doesn't die. He loses the king.
Imagine people not dying in a Zelda game.
Ooh, wild. But just a regular Tuesday in Hyrule. Link being this hero is definitely what continues to push the narrative of Zelda games and what makes them like, what makes us think a little harder about the stories. Because very obviously, I love narrative games. I love story-driven games. I love beating a game, putting it on my controller, and being like, I'm going to think about this for the rest of my life. This is going to become my personality for the next few years, and I'm going to be really annoying, and no one's going to stop me because I'm a yapper.
Me, when I sent you that meme about the Pokemon thing. Play the game once, it's going to be my personality for the rest of my life.
Yes. But like, nowadays, the Zelda franchise is definitely very heavy on the story.
And beautiful stories.
Beautiful stories. And I'd argue that, like, the heavy narrative started with A Link to the Past.
Yeah, I could get behind that argument. I'm sure there's arguments against it, but I personally think that, A Link to the Past was, like, especially for the time period that it came out, like, that was groundbreaking.
I mean, I also would argue Link's Awakening, but I love Link's Awakening a lot. Link's Awakening is a beautiful game. I love the Battle of the Windfish. It makes you cry. Good stuff. Yeah, but as we get deeper and deeper into the Zelda narratives, now we can explore explore narratives such as these and apply real world analysis and, for a lack of a better term, to video games, which again was my thesis of a sort of point when I did this for my class, because it was for digital studies, and that was let us look from video games at a more narrative angle, a more societal thing, what is this game trying to say? So that definitely helped kickstart my brain into thinking this way. And a reason, again, why I chose Majora's Mask was because how it relates to the 5 stages of grief, everything Anju and Kafei have going on, so on and so forth. So I'm glad that we were able to have more games like this, because I think it's important to be why is the game saying this message, or why is it going this way? Because even for as bleak as Majora's Mask is, one of the most important things the Happy Mask Salmon says is to always have faith. That he teaches you the Song of Healing. It's a very funny sequence, because he's you lost the mask, and he has this little Madison breakdown minute, and he runs to this giant organ that appears out of nowhere to play the Song of Healing. Thank you. 10 out of 10, no notes. But he teaches Link the Song of Healing, again, healing acceptance, and tells you to always have faith, which is a statement, that's unfortunately very applicable today in the real world, where even if things may not seem the greatest right now, whatever faith or hope you can hold on to it. Because even in the worst of moments, there are things that you can look forward to. There are people that you can help, even if it's the smallest grace. Because some of the side quests that Link does are it seems extremely menial. There's one guy who wants to see the little chicks turn into cuckoos, and you put on the Bremen mask, you play the Oath Order, and they all march behind you. It's very cute, and they all just evolve into cuckoos. And then you go and talk to the guy, and he's like, "Wow, that was my life's dream." And
so true, bestie.
So,
look at all those chickens.
I mean, to most people, that seems extremely trivial. Why would you put so much stock into seeing a bunch of little critters? I mean, I would. I love little critters.
Yeah.
But it's side quests like that are also important as such the big, grandiose side quests, as Anju and Kafei, and helping Romani and Cremia. It's because every little action you do means something, which again is why Majora's Mask is so good. Every side quest you can think back to, oh, this related to the story because of this, and oh, this character now can move forward or do this because of this. One of the side quests is just listening to Anju's grandma talk about stories, and Link wears that interesting mask to keep himself awake during it. but she's an old lady. She's lonely. She just wants someone to listen to her stories. And that's what you do, and you make her happy.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the ending?
Yeah. And one of the most important things that, about the ending too, and going back to the Fierce Deity Mask, is it asks you if its powers could be as bad as Majora, which is a way of saying that, how everyone handles their own grief can... it manifests in different ways. You can make it good or bad. What I love about the Fierce Deity Mask is we know nothing about it. We have no idea why it looks like Link. We have no idea what deity it is, why he's fierce, why it was maybe made specifically to slay Majora. We don't know, but all we know is that Link puts it on, gets some magic sword beams, and makes the fight 10 times easier.
And it's also something that we had fun talking about while we were making this panel, because when it said that this mask might be just as strong as Majora's, we talked about how Skull Kid and Link both deal with their grief differently, because obviously Skull Kid, had grief, got the Majora's Mask, and, kind of tried to end the world. Whereas Link, he's dealing with his own grief from everything that happened in Ocarina of Time, and instead of making the world worse for it, he's literally being this unsung hero. He never gets thanks. He just saves people and is the way that I interpret it is he doesn't want other people to feel how he's felt in the previous games, especially in Ocarina of Time, where it's he lost everybody. And I just think about that all the time, and it's I just feel like Majora's Mask Link is I'm gonna take my grief to make sure that other people are going to be happy, even if I can't be happy.
Which again goes back to his role as the selfless hero of taking on all of these burdens, then fixing them, and then disappearing into the night because he doesn't he doesn't need or want a thank you for them because even if he wasn't destined to be a hero, he wants to help people.
Even in the credits, he's not seeing normally everyone's being happy. Link's just not there.
Yeah, Tattle and Terrell are you can go now. Link's all right, peace, and he leaves.
And then he leaves. He's gone.
But then we, as the player, get to see the fruits of our labor. We get to see everybody celebrating. We get to see a glimpse of Anju and Kafei's wedding, which is it's so wonderful. We see that it's nice and warm and Snowhead now. Spring has finally come. The Zoras are doing their concert. The skulls of the kings and Ikana Canyon are bickering like an old married couple, but I guess that's what makes them happy. I mean, if I had to choose an afterlife fate, would be if I got to bicker with my partner in the afterlife about menial things, I would enjoy that very much. So even if we don't see, even if Link doesn't see it, we do it, and as a player, that helps us feel rewarded. Because when you play video games, you're oh, I want to do this thing and do this quest and beat the game, so I can feel rewarded for it.
Yeah, the first time I saw the Majora's Mask ending, I 100% cried. Full stop. Me sobbing like a baby, I'm just so happy.
They got married.
If a video game makes me cry, and I am not an emotional person, it does a good job. There's a reason why this is my favorite game. Loki, none of the other Zeldas have made me cry.
I'm gonna make a hard left and say my favorite game is actually Wind Waker.
I mean, you're valid. I'm fully admitting to the fact that I really love dark gameplay. So Majora's Mask was my yes, thank you. This is why I'm messed up as an adult. my top three is Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, and Twilight Princess, which is a very interesting smattering of games. Majora's Mask, Oracle of Seasons, and then A Link to the Past.
And then we have Minish Cap.
I'm so glad that Lovemoon liked that Link to the Past was in my top three.
And then for me we have Minish Cap sliding and forth. I love Minish Cap. Do we have any other Minish Cap fans in here? Yeah! You are my people. Yes, I love Ezlo. I have an Ezlo hat at home. He's wonderful. I also have a Wind Waker at home that I keep away from the cat because I know he'll break it.
I would also like to say, because this is related to Majora's Mask, if anyone is following MAGFest on their socials, I do love the fact that they were using the dawn of the final day.
Yes, I saw that. I was like.
I assume that everyone here at this panel knows, but if you didn't, the whole 3 days or how many hours and dawn of the final day, that's from this game. It is not a meme. Yes, it's a meme, but it's a meme from this game. It wasn't a meme first. So yeah. Fun fact.
Nothing sparks child anxiety in a 10-year-old by booting up a game. It's dawn of the first day. 72 hours remain, and you're 72 hours remain until what? And then you look to the sky, and you're oh.
It almost gives you a small inkling of the severe anxiety the devs had.
Oh, my favorite thing is that Clocktown's theme gets faster and faster each day. First day, you're oh, it's a little, it's a little jaunt. It's happy. Second day, you're there's a slight sense of worry here. And then the third day, you're someone is playing this on ×2 speed, and they need a Xanax.
And again, keep in mind, this game took a year. They put this much effort and insanity in a year. I do nothing in a year of my life.
It won't happen again, unfortunately.
I think we can go to our socials.
Okay. We will still be talking about things because we do still have time, but just so you know, these are our socials because there is one very important note that I have on this final slide, which is play this game. It got a remaster on the Switch. Go
3DS.
play it now. Go to...
3DS.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3DS. I thought it was on the Switch.
No, it's on the 3DS.
You did not update my notes. Oh, okay, it's emulated. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
Point is that you can go play it right now.
yeah, I was gonna say, if you somehow have not played Majora's Mask and you're at this panel,
Go play it.
you guys don't count. You're my friends. You're obligated to
No.
be here.
No. Here's the thing. For the people in the front row that are our personal friends who are in our Airbnb with us, we can play it tonight. They're shaking their heads, but it's like, we could totally play it. I have a Let's Player that I like watching their thing. Okay, but you're only one person.
I would like to piggyback off what they say is I'm bad at Zelda games. Like, there's very few I've beaten on my own. Like, I beat Wind Waker, I beat A Link Between Worlds, I beat a few other games. But for the most part, I'm like, I'm going to watch someone do all the boss fights and
I
the
fully
puzzles.
admit to
'cause
being
I'm really
dumb. I'm a natural blonde under here. I'm dumb. I cannot do
I'm stupid.
puzzles. Combat, I'm fine with. You want to point me at something and kill it? I can do that. Puzzles? And you gotta remember, I was playing these games, most of them, before the internet was really a big thing because I'm that old. We didn't have online guides. And do you really think my mom was gonna buy me a $20 video game and then a $20 guide? No! Do you really think I ever bought anything firsthand? No. I've lived my life secondhand. I was trailer park trash. Who do you think I am?
Anyway, since
Secondhand games, y'all.
since we are slowly approaching our final minutes, don't worry, nothing is falling. I would love to direct you to our socials. I am that Nebbles on Blue Sky. I have an AO3. I put this down. I'm mentioning the fact that I'm a fanfic writer because all this media literacy I have goes towards putting my favorite characters in situations they don't want to be in. And
There's nothing like hurting your faves to show your love.
sometimes you have a really bad day and you're like, how am I going to release my suffering in a way that's healthy? And then like you look at your favorite character, you're like, yeah, this like scruff him like a cat. Like, get over here. And then on Instagram, I am Addie Cometz because I am too lazy to make a cosplay Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, you will see con stuff, but you also see several pictures of my cat.
Cyrus is very cute. He's an orange creamsicle. I love him.
His full name is Cyrus Paulbright, named after the infamous Cyrus Albright from Octopath Traveler. He,
Which we could also do an entire panel on.
We did.
I know. Not with me, but yes.
He is a menace who likes to wake us up at 3 in the morning with his parkour, as cats do.
And then mine is, I am Paradox Mint, otherwise known as Mint. I just have my link tree up there because like I joke around that I have every single social except that I am too old for TikTok and I am too young for Facebook. But you can go to my link tree, contact me on whichever you like. The Discord's on there, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere.
Yeah. I was gonna say I am much smarter in person than I am on my socials. Again, on my socials, you will see me post a picture of like my blog. It'll be like, "That's my little guy," and that's it. That's a tweet. That's a post. And then you see me in person. I'm like, "Oh, she's actually speaking like coherent construction sentences. Look at her."
I am worse on social media. Especially when I stream, which I do stream games, not Zelda, because again, I'm too dumb. But if you guys thought my comments about Lulu were good, y'all, I'm rated 18 plus on my socials for a reason, and it's because I'm down bad for everything. Y'all should see what I've said about Sidon. I'm just saying. I found out about Sidon before I found out about the game because I found fan works.
And we will keep it at that.
That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just saying, if you follow me, you in for a good time. You're in for an 18 plus time, but you in for a good time.
So yeah, thank you guys for showing up. This was definitely a much. Thank you.
Yeah, because again, this is Abby's first panel.
Yeah, like I did not expect the turnout that I got, and like I'm going to email my professor I did this internship for and be like, hey, I submitted this to MAGFest and I got into MAGFest, which is pretty difficult to do. Like every panel here is amazing for a reason, and to know I am now a part of that greatness from this little this hatchling of an idea I had 10 years ago makes me so incredibly happy. Like, I'm so happy to see all these faces.
I'm happy I was able to help support their hyperfixation. This is what happens when two autistics make a panel.
Yeah.
We literally like, your autism with my autism? Mega autism! Spectrum for the win!
Yeah, but well, it's 10:30, so I think we're being so that's.
Yeah. My thing says that we have reached our hour mark, which I'm very happy for. If you do want to talk to us or have questions or anything, you can come up.
Come up and say
Keep
hello.
in mind though, I have the memory of a goldfish, so if you want us to add something or something, I will forget.